Well, good morning or good afternoon to everybody. My name is Ronnie. I do crochet tutorials along with Maggie and Lauren. Our fun group is called WIP for Work in Progress and Jane. Today, I did another balloon animal. This one I'm calling Louie the Lion. He is fun. He's easy. I did a smaller version of it. Instead of with the thicker yarn, I used regular 4-ply yarn. This was a pattern I found over digging and digging and digging, but the original pattern did not work. So yes, about 70, maybe 65% of the pattern is through somebody else, so I can absolutely not take credit for this, but I made a few adjustments. And due to that fact, if anybody's looking for the written pattern, I haven't done it yet. I will do it. But again, it is not my pattern. I just made a few tweaks here and there to make this work a lot better. And again, with this pattern, just like the balloon dog, you are more than welcome if you want a tutorial on how to stitch him together. But I chose to do his mane and the tip of his tail in a dark brown. And I did the rest of them in a lighter color. And he does stand if you really work with it. But if you put the stitches like right here and right up here, he will stand very good for you. But again, I had to add some things to this pattern to actually make it work. The original written pattern, it didn't qualify as working because for a few reasons, but it didn't leave enough gaps in here for the twists and the bends, and some of the parts weren't long enough. So yes, I had to make a few tweaks, but please understand, this is off of somebody else's pattern. I will never take credit for this pattern because it was not solely mine. So again, let's dive into this, okay? If you're looking to make my size one, I used a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook. You will need a stitch marker, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, and I used not my favorite yarn. Like I said, if anybody's been watching my videos, they know I'm addicted to Hobby Lobbies. I love this yarn. Something about their acrylic yarn is softer. It doesn't split like other brands, but I did use Red Heart for this one. The mane and the tail I did in what's called coffee, that color, and I did the rest of the body in beige. And again, this was Red Heart, and as you can see, these were brand new skeins when I used them, so you can make multiple, probably at least 3, if not maybe 4, out of these 2 balls. This one you will definitely run out of first, obvious being most of the project is worked out of this one. So, okay, now if you choose to do a bigger one, a thicker yarn one, that's really okay. Just please use the suggested hook on that yarn that you choose to use. And if you hear thunder, we are due here massive storms. These are the remnants from storms that hit other states with the hail and everything else. So I apologize in advance if you hear some storms. Anyway, okay, so let me dive into this. The way I did the balloon dog tutorial, some people said they had trouble following me, or I was going too fast for them to follow. I always considered myself a slow crocheter, and I thought I was going slow enough with reading patterns for projects like this, but let me apologize in advance. I am going to try very hard to work on that, because I even want our beginner crocheters. This is a project a beginner crocheter can do. I want you to be able to understand what I'm saying, what I'm explaining, and I will try to work with that. So please, if this video still is a little too fast for you, please comment below. Let me know so I know what I need to work on to help you be successful. That's all we want to do, is we want to make you successful at learning how to crochet. Now, to start the project, The tail I did do in a darker color, but because the darker color is hard to see the stitches on videos, I am going with, I'm gonna just start this in the lighter color so you can see the stitches easier, which is very important to me. And I do recommend, because we're crocheting in rounds, do recommend a stitch marker. I like stitch markers that are very different from the colors that I'm using, so it's easier to see where you begin and end. Now, this does start with a magic circle. Magic circle is really perfect for this, but if you are not comfortable with a magic circle, it's really okay. All I need you to do is chain 3, slip stitch to the first chain, okay? And then after you slip stitch to the first chain, I want you to chain 1. And we will meet you right there in a minute with the magic circle. Man, it is rumbling. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Okay. Now, in your circle, whether you did the chain 3 or you did the magic circle, I want you to put 1 single crochet. And then immediately, please put your stitch marker in that first stitch. That way you don't ever have to question where your first stitch is, because I am very guilty of trying to figure out where my first stitch is. Now, this is not a project where you want to crochet tight. I'm not saying crochet super loose, but please do not crochet super tight, because you will struggle at some of the rows in this pattern. All right. So I want you to put in 5 more single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yes, this project starts off way different than the balloon dog, because the first part of this lion is his ball on the top of his tail. So I am not closing my ring. I'm just shortening it up. You don't want to cinch it closed yet. You really, really don't. Now, I want you to, yep, that is thunder. I want you to go in your first stitch, take out your stitch marker, and do 1 single crochet. And before you do anything else, put your stitch marker back in that stitch that you just did. Okay. And then in that same stitch, I want you to put 1 more single crochet in. And 2. And then I want you to put 2 stitches in each one, so you will end up with 12 stitches. Okay. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Now is when you should be able to pull your stitch all the way close. Okay. Now, row 3 is another increase. You will do 2 single crochets, 1 in the first 2 stitches, then you put 2. Okay, so let me show you. Put my hook in that first stitch and just 1 single crochet. And then what I do, I put my stitch marker right back in. Then 1 in the next stitch. and then 2 in the next stitch. Okay, then 1 in the next stitch, 1 in the next stitch, and then 2, 1 and 2, then 1, and 1, and then 2. 1 and 1, and then 2 in the same stitch. So this is the increase to 16 stitches. So let me review. You will always go down to 4 stitches. That's the smaller part of your animal where it's 4 stitches. Most of the time you will only do, now listen to me, when you're doing these, you do 4 rows of it. The pattern barely had 1 row and it didn't work. So you will do 4 rows of 4, okay? But you're at 16. So you start at 4. Every increase is only by 4. All right. So 16. So the next increase would be 20. So you would do 3 single crochets and then 2 in the 4th stitch. Let me show you. Put my stitch in. 1 single crochet. I don't see my Mimi. Okay. So that's a 1, 2, and 3 single crochets. Now in the next one, you will put 2 stitches in it. Next one, the next 3, you put just 1 stitch in each. 1, 2, and 3. And then you put 2 single crochets. 1 and 2. And then you do 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3. Then 2 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 2 single crochets. Now this is your increase to 20. 20 stitches is the largest you'll go on these rows. So you'll never go above 20. So basically you're going from 20 to 4, 20 to 4, 4 to 20, and back and forth to make these balls. So the trick is, when you hit 20, it'll tell you how many rows you do of 20. So it's matching stitch for stitch. So what I do, now this is just me, I need 3 rows of 20 stitches, not including the one we did, because that row was an increase. We need 3 straight rows of 20. So I take out my stitch marker and I say 20, 20, and 20. That's 60 stitches. So I just start crocheting until I count to 60. All right, so I'll start off at 10. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then I just keep going until I reach 60. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So I have 40 more stitches to go, and I'll be right back. Okay, there's my 60 stitches. Now, here's your tail. Make sure you flip it around. And what I did is I took my tail, and if I can grab it, and I pull it through that way. So this is my 60 stitches. All right, so that's the width, the thickness of it, okay? Now we're going to start decreasing, and if you're counting rows, this would be row 8. So the increases and decreases are I'm going to tell you how to do these decreases, and if you have to, I have hiccups. If you have to go back, you can back up this video a little bit, and I'll explain the decreases. They go in sequence from 20 to 16 to 12 to 8 to 4, okay? And then the increases go 4 to 8 to 12 to 16 to 20. All right, so now we need to do a decrease. The first decrease would be 3 single crochets, but let me put in the first one and back to marking. That's how I do it. Okay, so 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. That's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do a decrease. Bring it in so you can see it. You take your hook, you go in, grab some yarn and pull it. Go into the next stitch, grab some yarn and pull it. Yeah, it's a very nasty storm. And then you wrap and you go through all 3. That is 2 together, decrease. And then you go 3 single crochets. It's 1, 2, and 3. And another decrease. Go in, grab some yarn, bring it up. Go into the next stitch, grab some yarn, bring it up, wrap, and go through all 3. And then again, 3 single crochets. That's 1, that's 2, and that's 3. And then another decrease. Just like that. And 3 single crochets. When you're doing your decrease rows, you will always end your row on a decrease. That's how you know you're in line correctly with the pattern. Now that's the 16. Now we want to decrease to 12. So to decrease to 12, instead of 3 single crochets, now it's 2. So I do 1 single crochet, put my stitch marker back in there. I think I can zoom it back out a little bit. And this is 2 single crochets. Then I do 2 together, 1 and 2. Then 2 more single crochets, 1 and 2, and then 2 together, and 2 single crochets, 1 and 2, and 2 together, and 1 and 2 and 2 together. Okay. Now, I didn't bring my stuffing in here with me, but when you're down to 12 stitches, when you're making your balls, this is when you stuff them. I do need you to stuff them firm, but do not overstuff them where they're stretching your stitches, but you want firm, like this, okay? All right. After you stuff it, now we're going down to 12 stitches. Did we do 12? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Now we're going down to 8 stitches. I apologize. We did the 12. 8 stitches. So 1 single crochet and put my stitch marker back in. One single crochet, then a decrease. One single crochet, then a decrease. This is where it gets tight. This is why I remind people, do not crochet tight. One single crochet, then a decrease. One single crochet, then a decrease. Okay. Now, this is where I take my stitch marker out. We want to do 4 more, just 2 together decreases. That'll take your 8 stitches down to 4. So I just count. So this is 1, 2, 3, 'and then 1 more makes 4. Now, okay, now you have 4 stitches. Now we're making this part of the tail, okay? So I want you to do 8 rows of 4. So basically it's 32 stitches, okay? So in each stitch you do 1 around, 4, 4, 4, 4 until you reach 8 rounds, okay? And that is how you get this tail. And then we'll be working up to do this. After you do your 8 rows, let's just pretend we did our 8 rows. Then we want to increase. To increase, you back to 8. So to do that, you go in and you put 2 single crochets in each stitch. So I put my stitch marker in my first stitch again. Okay. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh, I'm in the wrong stitch, and that happens sometimes. Just got to recognize it. 5, 6, and 7, and 8. Okay. Once you're at 8 stitches, then we're going to do increases again. So you'll go 8 to 12. So you would do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1 single crochet, 2, 1, 2, and you go all the way around. You will end up with 12 stitches. Then you do another increase, which would be 1 single crochet in the next 2 stitches. Then you put 2 in the next, 1 in the next 2, 2 in the next. That'll take you to 16. Then you do your 1 more increase to 20, which would be 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches, and then 2 in the next, 1 in the next 3, then 2. That takes you up to 20 stitches, and this is the leg that you're working on next. That is this piece right here, right after the ball, and you do your stitches here. All right, so once you're at your 20 count, I want you to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 rows, 10 more rows of just 20 stitches. So that'll take this part, 10 rows. After you do your 10 rows, then we're going to start decreasing. First you do your decrease down to 16. I explained how to do that. Then you take your decrease back down to 12. Also explained how to do that. This is when you stuff. You stuff this. After you stuff it, then you decrease back to 8, which I also explained. Then you decrease to 4. Okay? After you're down to 4, I think I said 4 rows, it's 3, so my correction. Then you do 3 more, well, it is 4 rows total. You do 3 more rows of 4. So you basically do 12 more stitches in the rows of 4. Okay? Then you will repeat that exact same pattern to do the second leg. You do all your increases to 20. Then you do 10 more rows of just 20. Okay? After you do your 10 rows of 20, then you decrease it back down to 16 to 12. Then you stuff. Then you decrease to 8. Then you decrease to 4. Then you do 3 more rows of 4. So 12 more stitches. Okay? After you do that, then you're working on the body. Okay, so the body, you increase it to 8, increase it to 12, increase it to 16, then you increase it to 20. All these increases and decreases I went through at the beginning of the video. Then again, I want you to do not 10 rows. I want you to do 11 rows of 20. 20 stitches per row, so 11 rows of doing 20. Okay? Then again, we will decrease to 16 and decrease to 12. And you stuff it. Then you decrease to 8. Then you decrease to 4. Okay? Then you do 3 more rows of 4. Okay? So 12 more stitches. Then these two are the front two legs, so it's the same as the back. So I'll go over it, but you'll do this 2 times, so you'll have 4 legs total. So you increase to 8, increase to 12, increase to 16, increase to 20. Once you're at 20, you do 10 rows of 20 stitches. 10 rows to 20 stitches. Then you decrease to 16, decrease to 12, stuff it. Decrease to 8, decrease to 4, 3 more rows of 12. 3 more rows of 4 that equals to 12. Then you repeat the same one for the last foot. So you do that all over again. Then it's the main. You're going to do the main 5 times. I'm going to go over it once. All right? But you will repeat it. You want 5 balls. Okay? So you will increase to 8, increase to 12, increase to 16, increase to 20. Once you're at 20, you do 3 more rows, like you did the first one, of 20. So it'll be 60 stitches. After you do your 60 stitches, or 3 rows of 20, then you decrease to 16, you decrease to 12, stuff it, decrease to 8, decrease to 4. This is the one where we don't put big gaps because it's the head part, or main. Once you decrease to 4, you only have 1 row of 4. You immediately start increasing to 8, increasing to 12, increasing to 16, increasing to 20. And then you do your 3 rows of 20, 60 stitches, and then you start decreasing. And you do that until you have 5 balls. 5 balls, okay? After you do your 5, then it's your last part. This is the nose. The nose all. After you do this, when you're at 4, do 3 more rows of 4. Okay? After you do that, then you increase to 8, then the 12, then the 16, and the 20, all those increases. Then you only do 6 rows. 6 rows of 20. 6 more rows of 20. That'd be 120 stitches. Then this is different now. Then you decrease to 16, decrease to 12, decrease to 8, decrease to 4, then you immediately increase to 8. And then that's how you get this little lip. And then you cut and tie. Okay? So, let's count. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 balls of the lion. Now, to put your lion together, you take, these are the back 2 legs, and your tail. You wrap the tail around and you go through the back legs. There's the back piece. This is his body. Then the next 2 are his front legs. So you bend his front legs together. You wrap around and then you bring the head all the way through. Just like that. And then you got his body, back legs, front legs, tail. Then you take your mane and form a circle with it. And you take the nose and you just wrap it around the bottom of the front one and pop it through. And that is how you get Louis the lion. Isn't he great? He is adorable. I'm so in love. But these directions are not written down anywhere. They're nowhere to be found, everybody, with my tweaks to it. So if you're interested in the written part of this, I can do that. I just have not done it yet. So let me reiterate. There is no written pattern for my tweaks. If you tried to copy a written pattern of this, that was a free pattern, you're going to struggle if you follow that pattern step to step. He miscounted a couple places on the pattern, and he definitely did not put enough gaps between each segment to make him twist and work. So let me reiterate that. The written pattern does not work. Just doesn't. It's very good pattern, but there's specific pieces that are missing that you will need to be successful at this project. This is my tweaks, not my pattern, my tweaks. So if you're interested in this specific pattern with my tweaks, please comment on here and I will take the time to write this pattern up and we can share it. Because like I said, 60 to 70% of this pattern is not mine. It's just my tweaks to make this a successful pattern. Okay? All right. Well, I can't wait to see your lions and the colors you've chosen to do this. Please come find us on Facebook under WIP, W-I-P, and chain. It's for work in progress. We can't wait. Come find us. We'll love you to join us and show us your pictures. And if our videos are helping you and you enjoy them, can you please hit that subscribe button at the bottom and the like button? We'd love it. Until our next tutorial, everybody. If you're watching this during these storms, please be careful. Stay safe. Until next time, happy crocheting, everybody.